Hi, my name is Kynlee, and this is...
Malcolm, I'll be your co-host.
And today we're talking about the murder of JonBenet. Nearly 3 decades ago, 6-year-old pageant queen JonBenet was murdered in her family home. The killer, never found. Her cause of death was strangulation using a garrote around her neck, and her skull was broken from an apparent blow to the back of her head. When she was found, she also had 2 stun gun wounds and damage to her vaginal lining, making this case not just a homicide, but also an assault. The type of tape used to cover her mouth was not found inside the home. The murder, first thought to just be a kidnapping, had a ransom note left behind of almost 3 pages, written with materials that the killer found inside the home.
The chief of law enforcement, Mark Beckner, announced to the public his officers has mishandled the crime scene. The Boulder Police Department was extremely inexperienced when it came to homicides, so they did not follow through with the typical crime scene procedures when they responded to the 911 call. Also, they did not accept help from more experienced agencies such as the Denver Police Department available nearby. In his interview, he said, "I wish we had done a much better job of securing and controlling the crime scene on day one. We should have separated John and Patsy and gotten their full statements that day. Letting them go was a big mistake, as they soon lawyered up, and we did not get to formally interview them again until May of 1997, 5 months after their daughter was murdered, which hindered the police's investigations into the parents and those around them."
After they had found JonBenet during the investigation, a key piece of evidence was the source of DNA found in the little girl's undergarments that weren't linked or traced to anyone in the database. Beckner said, first off, the police officers should have shut down the crime scene immediately and taken statements from JonBenet's parents. Since the crime happened on Christmas Day, Beckner said that there were fewer people available to get to the scene. In an interview later regarding the case, Beckner added, "I think the only thing I would have emphasized is that the unknown DNA from JonBenet's clothing is very important. I'm not involved anymore, but that has got to be your focus on the investigation. In my opinion, at this point, that's your suspect." Another piece of evidence, which is very important to this day in this case, is the ransom note that was left behind, and the possibility of it being Patsy's handwriting is still not out. The 3-page ransom note was very odd, seeing as most of the time, killers or intruders will not take the time to sit down and write a 3-page ransom note. Most likely they'll be short and to the point. This note, which had an unusual specification in them.
The specification was a $118,000 ask from the father, which was the exact amount he had received the year before in his job. So it is very confusing on why he would ask for the exact amount he got in his bonus the year before. Seems to me as it's someone that was very close to him at one point to know such a thing.
They also said something about a big enough bag so that way he could fit the money in it. He also specified that $100,000 must be in $100 bills and the last $18,000 must be in $20 bills. And the garrote, which is a form of torture method used in ancient times, is when a stick or metal bar is tied and choked around and tied behind a person's throat, causing torture and a painful death, breaking the esophagus slowly. This garrote that was used has pieces of DNA in it, which were found inside of JonBenet's vaginal lining, meaning she also was most likely raped by this piece of wood, which was later identified to be a part of Patsy, her mother's paint set, which had been broken. There are a lot of different theories about what could have happened to JonBenet. Here are ours.
I believe that JonBenet was in an altercation with her brother, and which is the pineapple theory. The brother had hit her on side the head with the pineapple, and the mother or anyone in the room or house had tried to cover it up. It made it seem like someone else had entered the home and tried to fake JonBenet's kidnapping and murder, which is very hard to believe, but it is still a available option.
I believe that it was someone that was most likely very close to John, someone who would have access to their home without it looking like a break-in, and someone that could get to JonBenet without her being scared. The specification in how much money they wanted and all of the details in that ransom note all point to somebody who was someone very close, either Patsy or maybe a friend or a colleague who maybe was jealous of that bonus because these people were millionaires. They were very rich in this Colorado town. I think that it wasn't supposed to be a murder, but I think JonBenet started to struggle, and after she began to struggle, he or she tried to stop her, which ended up leading to a struggle because the damage to her vaginal lining was also shown to have happened before her murder.
While we give our concerns to this case and draw your attention to it, there are still investigations being held to this day.
So if you have any information or tips that may help, please contact somebody. Well, I'm Kynlee.
And I'm Malcolm.
Thank you for joining us today. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.